On the internet, where privacy is constantly under threat, can we create internet connections that don't reveal who is talking to whom? In 1990, David Goldschlag, Mike Reed, and Paul Siverson asked the same question, and the result was Tor, a decentralized network built for securing your privacy. Over the years, as governments and corporations tightened their grip on online activity, people around the world turned to Tor to reclaim their right to privacy and free expression. In 2011, during the Arab Spring, when anti-democratic governments were crushing all voices, activists used Tor to escape surveillance and censorship. Just 2 years later, Edward Snowden relied on Tor to expose one of the largest government surveillance programs in history, risking everything to reveal the truth. From revolutionaries in the streets to whistleblowers in hiding, Tor became the digital lifeline protecting those who dare to speak out. Because in a world where information is power, anonymity is freedom. And Tor has always secured that freedom. But how did a project that started as a military experiment become the biggest decentralized network on the internet? This is the story of Tor. In 1995, David Goldschlag, Mike Reed, and Paul Siverson introduced onion routing, a technique that encrypted data through a network of relays, making it nearly impossible to trace the sender or recipient. By 1996, the first operational prototypes were in place, laying the foundation for what would later become a tool that would redefine privacy and anonymity online. By the early 2000s, Roger Dingeldine, a recent MIT graduate, joined the project to advance its development. As other anonymity networks began to emerge, he and his classmate Nick Mathewson worked to refine and improve the system. To set their project apart, they named it Tor, the Onion Router, a name that would soon become synonymous with online privacy and freedom. Tor was originally designed to protect classified U.S. intelligence communications. What started as a military tool soon became essential for diplomats, journalists, activists, and anyone needing protection from surveillance and censorship. Encryption was required to hide the content of messages, as well as shielding them from traffic analysis.
We don't actually care what you do over the network. If you go to Amazon and you give them your name and your credit card, then you're no longer anonymous, and that's not our problem. You have to decide what actual data you're going to transport. All we provide is location anonymity. We can hide your IP from where you're going. What you actually send to them is your problem.
To use Tor effectively, the U.S. government had to open the project to the public. Making Tor publicly available concealed intelligence operations within a larger crowd, making attackers not distinguish between government operation and civilian use.
The United States government can't simply run an anonymity system for everybody and then use it themselves only, because then every time a connection came from it, people would say, oh, it's another CIA agent looking at my website, if those are the only people using the network. So you need to have other people using the network so that they blend together.
By releasing Tor as an open-source software in 2002, Roger Dingeldine, Paul Siverson, and Nick Mathewson transformed it from a government-backed project into a tool for global privacy and freedom. The decision also invited a global network of developers and volunteers to improve the system, making it stronger, more resilient, and independent of government control. With a wider user base, new funding sources emerged, ensuring Tor's long-term sustainability. By 2003, the network had a dozen volunteer-operated nodes, mostly in the US and Germany, setting the foundation for what would become a worldwide privacy movement. This worked out perfectly for the US government, as the military and intelligence agencies continued using Tor for secure communications. By 2004, Tor's reputation grew amongst the cyber community, which attracted funding from a mix of public and private organizations. These included the Electronic Frontier Foundation, the U.S. Bureau of Democracy, the International Broadcasting Bureau, Human Rights Watch, and Google. As an open-source project, Tor quickly became a lifeline for those in need of secure, anonymous communication. Whistleblowers, activists, and journalists relied on it to evade surveillance and safely expose corruption.
Give us the means to learn from and teach each other. and discover the wisdom of the wider world, even when that wisdom is opposed by our neighbors and our governments.
Privacy-conscious internet users turn to Tor to shield their activities from advertisers, surveillance agencies, and cybercriminals. In countries with strict internet censorship laws, such as China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia, Tor saw a surge in usage as citizens sought to bypass restrictions and access blocked content.
Shouting "No Iron Curtain, freedom of internet, freedom of telegram," thousands of people rallied in Moscow protesting Russia's new internet restrictions.
Human rights websites blocked by Chinese government censors.
By 2006, Tor had grown significantly, leading to the creation of the Tor Project, a nonprofit organization dedicated to maintaining and improving the Tor network. Based in Seattle, the organization provided structure and long-term sustainability to Tor's development. What had begun as a research project was now evolving into a global movement for privacy and digital freedom. Let's see how this powerful tool works. Every time you visit a website, your computer reveals where you are through something called an IP address. The IP address is like a return address on a letter. This allows websites, advertisers, governments, and hackers to track where you are and what you view online. Even if your so-called letters are encrypted, they can still see where it was sent from and where it's going. Now imagine you want to send a private letter without anyone knowing it came from you. Instead of sending it directly, you place it inside 3 locked boxes, each with a different key. You give it to the first postman, who unlocks only the first box. Without knowing what's inside or where it will ultimately go, he finds the address of a second postman and delivers the box to him. The second postman unlocks the second lock, but still doesn't know the final destination. He finds the address of a third postman and passes the box along. Finally, the third postman unlocks the last box and delivers the letter, but has no idea where it originally came from. This is how Tor works. Instead of sending your internet request directly to a website, it bounces through 3 random computers called nodes, each peeling away one layer of encryption before forwarding it to the next. Each node only knows the previous and next step, ensuring that no single node can see both the sender and the destination. Additionally, these nodes cannot communicate with each other, making it impossible to piece together the full picture. In this system, the first postman is called an entry node, which knows where the request came from, but not where it's going. The second postman is called the middle node, which passes the message along but knows nothing about the sender or receiver. The final postman is called the exit node, which sends the request to the final website, but doesn't know who originally made the request. Because each step is encrypted separately, it's impossible to trace the original source. This layered encryption, like peeling an onion, is why we call it Tor, or the onion router. You might be wondering, who are these postmen, and who do they work for? Unlike real-world postal services, Tor isn't controlled by any government, company, or central authority. Instead, it's powered by thousands of volunteers, people like us, who dedicate part of their computers to help keep the network secure and act as neutral, unbiased messengers. The more volunteers, the faster and stronger Tor becomes. To keep the system safe and efficient, 9 special postmasters, called directory servers, vote every hour on which relays are performing well and what the safest paths should be. If a node doesn't follow the rules or becomes unreliable, it gets flagged and excluded from the network, ensuring only trusted relays handle traffic. Tor is a powerful tool for privacy, but even a small mistake can reveal an identity. When used correctly, it has allowed whistleblowers and activists to expose hidden truths and censored stories without fear of being tracked. With the right precautions, Tor becomes a gateway to free speech and uncovering secrets the world was never meant to see. By 2005, Tor's use case was complicated and technical, requiring users to manually configure browser settings like Firefox or Internet Explorer to route traffic correctly. Mistakes could expose their identity and put their lives at risk, limiting Tor's use to hackers, security experts, and tech-savvy activists. But as the network expanded, so did the demand for a more accessible solution. By early 2006, Tor had surpassed 1,000 nodes, making it stronger, more resilient, and harder to attack. The fight between Tor and governments escalated as the international media highlighted how Tor users were bypassing censorship. In 2006, The Guardian reported on Chinese citizens using Tor to access restricted content, while Wired covered the struggle between internet users and Chinese government censors. In response, China blocked known Tor relays. Other nations, such as Russia, labeled Tor a tool for criminals and terrorists and imposed state-controlled internet restrictions to curb its use. Tor developers struck back by launching Tor bridges, a major breakthrough which allowed users to connect without relying on blocked relays. In 2007, developers introduced the Tor button, a Firefox extension that let users toggle Tor on and off effortlessly, eliminating the need for complex browser configurations, making Tor simple to use. With these updates, reports surfaced of Saudi, Chinese, and Syrian activists using Tor to communicate safely, exposing government abuses without fear of retaliation. As Tor gained traction, law enforcement took notice of illicit uses. By 2007, US and European agencies intensified investigations of illegal marketplaces. Governments saw Tor as a double-edged sword, a shield for privacy and a tool for criminals. For the Tor developers, one thing was clear. Making Tor easier and safer to use wasn't just a goal, it was a necessity. In September 2008, the Tor Project launched the first Tor browser bundle, a pre-configured package designed to make anonymous browsing accessible to everyone. It included a modified version of Firefox, which automatically enabled Tor routing by default. This release differentiated the Tor Project as a brand that protected privacy around the world.
So the goal of Tor is to distribute the trust over multiple relays, so there's no single point in the system that knows which Alice talked to which Bob. So it isn't about privacy by promise. I know what you're doing, but I promise I won't tell. It's about privacy by design or privacy by construction, where the actual system separates who gets to know what about what's going on.
The Tor browser was revolutionary because it worked across multiple platforms, including Windows, Mac OS, Linux, and later Android. It could even run directly from a USB drive, allowing users to stay anonymous without installing anything on their device. However, in heavily censored regions, downloading Tor remained a challenge. To counter this, communities distributed the file through alternative sources like GitHub, Reddit, and Twitter, ensuring users could access it despite government restrictions. The Tor browser quickly became the most powerful anonymity tool in the world. Between 2008 and 2010, cybercriminals and governments looked for ways to de-anonymize users. Criminals circulated fake Tor downloads, while law enforcement used malware to track suspects. In response, Tor developers strengthened security by improving encryption and hidden services to better serve legitimate users.
But we also have a system where the website itself can allow people to get to it without revealing its location. The basic idea for this is that both people onion route out and they get connected together, but this Alice doesn't know where Bob is and Bob doesn't know where Alice is, yet Alice can get to the website.
By 2008, Julian Assange integrated Tor's hidden services into WikiLeaks. This secure submission portal revolutionized whistleblower protection, ensuring that those exposing government secrets and corporate misconduct could do so without fear of retaliation or imprisonment. Assange used Tor to build WikiLeaks, an impenetrable system where whistleblowers could safely expose corruption without fear of being traced. His state-of-the-art security stunned the world, proving Tor's true purpose. But WikiLeaks became more than a platform. It was a paradox. The masters of surveillance and control, such as the NSA, CIA, and global intelligence networks, fell victim to the very encryption they fought to break. Assange exposed their tactics, with their most coveted secrets visible for the world to see. This wouldn't be possible without Tor's hidden services. As WikiLeaks made global headlines, Tor's reputation as the gold standard for secure communication was cemented.
Criminal investigation is underway in the US following the leak of thousands of classified CIA documents by the website WikiLeaks. The material reveals the hacking tools said to be used by the CIA. It includes details on how devices such as mobile phones and smart TVs are being used to spy on people around the world. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange criticized the CIA for keeping the data in one place, calling it incompetent. He also says his group is willing to work with tech companies to help defend themselves against hackers.
Protection against nation-state cyber attacks requires the active assistance of technology companies and companies like WikiLeaks, which can provide information about these attacks.
But what exactly are hidden services, and how do they allow websites to be just as anonymous as their users? In the next chapter, we unravel one of Tor's most powerful innovations and see how it reshaped the internet forever. Imagine the internet as a huge marketplace. At the center, superstores like Google, Amazon, and Facebook act as the ultimate directory, listing every website, image, and video for anyone to find. They track everything you browse, buy, or even consider in order to enhance your shopping experience, with personalized recommendation based on your past activity. Even if you're not looking for something, advertisers track your habits, ensuring their products follow you across the web. Everything is displayed openly, and your digital footprint is constantly monitored. But beyond this public square, there's a section designed for privacy. Here, you can shop without being tracked, free from ads that manipulate your browsing and purchasing decisions. Instead of getting recommendations based on past searches or stored data, you simply buy what you need without anyone watching. This section also includes specialty items like rare books containing critical information, art pieces considered controversial, and medical resources essential for survival, things not meant for mass consumption. These aren't searchable or publicly listed. You must know the exact address and whom to ask for them. This is the dark web, not a hidden underworld, but simply an unindexed part of the internet. People use this space for many reasons. Journalists and whistleblowers use it to safely share information without fear of surveillance. Citizens under oppressive regimes rely on it to access censored news and communicate freely. Even law enforcement and governments use it to rescue citizens or conduct operations. And for regular internet users, it provides a private shopping experience where advertisers don't track your past purchases to manipulate what you see. Just as crime exists in any city, some exploit the dark web for illegal activities, creating black markets for drugs, hacking tools, or stolen data. But Tor itself doesn't promote or condone crime. It's simply a privacy tool, used for both good and bad, like any other technology. Hidden websites on the Tor network use the .onion domain, which cannot be found through Google or accessed with a regular browser. It requires the Tor browser. Creating a .onion site is as simple as making any other website, but with an extra layer of privacy. Imagine needing a secure way to share private medical records with your doctor. Instead of using a centralized email or cloud service, you could create a .onion site to upload your files. Since search engines don't index it, your information remains private and fully under your control. This level of privacy makes .onion sites a powerful tool for those resisting surveillance and censorship. Let's explore how millions have used this technology to stand against tyranny. Governments around the world have tried to erase Tor from their networks, fearing its power to bypass censorship and protect anonymity. Yet, every attempt to suppress it has only fueled innovation, proving that the fight for digital freedom is unstoppable. During the 2009 Iranian presidential election and Green Movement protests, the Islamic Republic imposed strict censorship, blocking access to websites and monitoring online communications. In response, many Iranians turned to Tor to bypass restrictions, ensuring that videos, first-hand accounts, and messages could still reach the outside world. Tor enabled secure private communication, allowing people to share events without fear of surveillance. Supporters worldwide, including organizations like the Electronic Frontier Foundation, encouraged everyone to run Tor relays and bridges, strengthening the network and keeping communication channels open. By 2009, Tor had grown more resilient than ever, surpassing 2,000 active relays worldwide. This global effort reinforced Tor's mission to provide a secure, uncensored space for those in oppressive regimes. As governments adapted their censorship tactics, Tor continued to evolve, ensuring people could safely access information and stay connected. Recognizing its importance, the U.S. State Department expanded its support and funding for Tor as part of a broader internet freedom campaign. Despite the U.S. government's support for Tor, it was not exempt from the very scrutiny and exposure the network enabled. In 2010, Army intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning used Tor to leak classified military and diplomatic documents to WikiLeaks, exposing U.S. operations in Iraq.
Among the classified files leaked by Manning was graphic cockpit footage of 2 U.S. Apache helicopters firing on and killing 12 civilians on a street in Baghdad.
Tor enabled WikiLeaks to securely and anonymously receive submissions, ensuring the protection of whistleblowers. Manning's identity wasn't revealed by Tor, but by someone she trusted, who reported her to authorities. She was arrested and spent a year in solitary confinement before being sentenced to 35 years in prison for leaking classified documents. However, after widespread public debate over her treatment and the implications of her case, President Barack Obama commuted her sentence in 2017, leading to her release after serving 7 years. In 2011, as the Arab Spring swept across the Middle East and North Africa, governments responded with censorship and surveillance, attempting to suppress information. Egypt imposed a total internet blackout, cutting off communication to disrupt protests.
By early morning, security forces were setting up across the city, and internet and cell phone communication had largely been shut down.
But people refused to be silenced. Activists and journalists turned to Tor to reconnect, share updates, and expose events to the world. Tor became a digital lifeline, allowing them to bypass restrictions and communicate securely, ensuring their voices could still be heard. In March 2014, amid a corruption scandal within Turkey's government, authorities blocked Twitter and YouTube to suppress leaked information. In response, citizens turned to Tor to bypass censorship, causing authorities to ban Tor browser downloads. By December 2016, the crackdown intensified as the government blocked Tor and 10 major VPNs, restricting access to uncensored information. However, activists' use of Tor bridges and Snowflake proxies helped evade detection. Despite aggressive efforts to silence dissent, Tor remained a lifeline for free expression in Turkey. Turkey was not alone in its efforts. Russia, facing growing political unrest, escalated its own war on online anonymity. In 2014, Russia offered a $111,000 contract to researchers who could crack Tor's anonymity. In 2022, after the breakout of the Russia-Ukraine war, demand for Tor surged. Outlets like BBC and Voice of America directed Russian users to Tor for uncensored news. Despite government efforts to block access, usage grew rapidly, with Snowflake connections from Russia increasing dramatically.
Twitter tried helping by banning Russian state-operated media, and that got Twitter itself banned from Russia on orders from Moscow. Now the social network says they have a way for people in Russia to bypass their country's laws and rules and get back on Twitter. What's their solution? Tor, a different type of internet browser, allowing you to search websites on a different kind of network where you stay anonymous. Tor stands for the Onion Router, so websites don't use .com or .org, they use .onion. So if you're watching in Russia, or if you know someone in Russia, tell them, download the Tor browser and then head over to twitter.onion and log in. And yes, there are Tor or Onion browser apps for iOS and Android.
In February 2021, Myanmar's military coup led to widespread censorship, blocking social media and news sites while increasing surveillance. Tor became a vital tool for activists to organize, document abuses, and access restricted content. By May 2024, the government banned VPNs and heavily targeted Tor. In response, digital rights groups and the Tor Project worked to provide alternative access, helping citizens bypass state-controlled narratives and stay connected to the free internet. In Hong Kong during the 2019 to 2020 pro-democracy protests, activists faced mass surveillance, arrests, and internet restrictions. With social media activity monitored, many turned to Tor to bypass censorship and communicate securely.
And this controlled, moderated version of the internet is spreading, especially across Southeast Asia. Vietnam's controversial version of the Chinese internet model went into effect in 2019. It demands the data of Vietnamese users is kept in the country. Indonesia, Southeast Asia's largest economy, already requires data to be stored locally. The Philippines has stepped up what critics call a media crackdown, and one of the latest to buy into the rationale is Thailand, which passed a cybersecurity bill modeled on China's.
Tor has allowed millions of protesters to coordinate, share evidence, and evade tracking, keeping their movements hidden. While some governments seek to dismantle Tor, their own agencies depend on it for secure communications, intelligence operations, and protecting whistleblowers. In 2019, the CIA launched a Tor hidden service to provide a secure, anonymous way for individuals to submit tips and access agency resources. That same year, the Dutch National Police and Public Prosecution Service used a Tor hidden service to communicate updates on darknet market takedown operations, ensuring transparency while combating cybercrime. Tor is undeniably a refuge for those fighting oppression, but its anonymity attracts criminals. As more stories of illicit activity surfaced, the media and law enforcement turned their attention to the darker corners of the network, setting the stage for a new battle over privacy and crime.
LSD, cocaine, and ecstasy are now just a click of a mouse away. A new website sells illegal drugs to anyone who is willing to pay.
Like any tool, Tor's anonymity protects those fighting oppression, but also attracts criminals, drawing media and law enforcement attention. These activities create misconceptions about Tor's role in the digital world. One of the most well-known criminal cases involving Tor was the Silk Road, the first major dark web marketplace. Launched in 2011, it operated as a Tor hidden service, allowing users to buy and sell drugs, counterfeit documents, hacking tools, and other illicit goods and services.
And Silk Road takes its security seriously. The web address isn't even silkroad.com. It's a seemingly random collection of letters and numbers. And even if you were to enter that on your computer at home, you wouldn't get in. To get in, you need to download a program that hides your identity and prevents others from tracing you.
Despite Tor's powerful anonymity features used by Silk Road, the FBI arrested its creator, Ross Ulbricht, in a San Francisco library in October 2013, proving that even the savviest tech criminals leave digital traces that law enforcement will eventually unravel. The operation led to Silk Road's shutdown and the seizure of over 144,000 Bitcoin. Ironically, Bitcoin transactions, once seen as untraceable, have helped solve many criminal cases through its public ledger.
And then we can see who actually mined the block. So we have Binance Pool, and if you go into other blocks, you can see like Ant Pool here and F2 Pool here, so you can see who's mining the blocks. And then what's inside the blocks is all the transactions.
Investigators followed the digital money trail, proving that Bitcoin is one of the worst currencies for illegal activity, since every transaction is permanently recorded for everyone to see. While Silk Road's takedown reinforced Bitcoin's traceability, the media focused on its permissionless aspect, framing both Tor and Bitcoin as tools for illegal activity. Similarly, during Operation Torpedo, the FBI compromised targeted dark web platforms hosting child exploitation material. By deploying malware attacks to unmask users, law enforcement dismantled criminal networks, proving that Tor offers no guaranteed escape from justice. Despite cases like these, studies estimate that only about 6.7% of global Tor users engage in illegal activity, while the vast majority use it for privacy, secure communication, and censorship circumvention. Illegal activity exists with or without Tor, but most criminals are not cybersecurity experts, often leaving digital traces that lead to their capture. In short, when legitimate organizations like the BBC, Facebook, or the New York Times create a .onion site, they are simply extending their existing services to users in censored regions. While these platforms may be restricted in countries like Russia or China, they are not illegal entities, nor do they need to conceal their ownership. Their purpose is to provide access to information and communication tools, without the need to evade law enforcement as part of their operation. However, when criminals use .onion sites to distribute illegal content, such as child exploitation material, their activities are illicit everywhere. Despite Tor's anonymity, every digital action leaves traces, whether through operational mistakes, undercover investigations, or server vulnerabilities. Law enforcement agencies have repeatedly exploited these weaknesses to track down, arrest those responsible, and dismantle such networks. In the end, Tor's primary mission is digital freedom and privacy, a lifeline for those in oppressive regimes, journalists, whistleblowers, and ordinary citizens seeking security. While some misuse it, they do not define Tor. Let's dive into the community powering Tor, today's most formidable cybersecurity force. The Tor Project thrives on a wild mix of backers: activists, big tech, universities, libraries, even governments, all united to keep Tor a fierce shield against surveillance and censorship. The US government, one of Tor's earliest and most significant backers, recognized the necessity of privacy in repressive environments. Agencies like the State Department, the Bureau of Democracy, and the Broadcasting Board of Governors fund Tor's development, particularly projects that aim to help citizens in censored countries bypass government firewalls. However, this created tensions, as the same technology protecting dissidents made it harder and more expensive to crack down on criminal activity. Beyond government support, independent organizations have played a crucial role in sustaining Tor. The Electronic Frontier Foundation was an early and vocal advocate, providing legal, financial, and public awareness campaigns to protect Tor. The Calyx Institute, a nonprofit dedicated to digital privacy, has strengthened the network by operating high-bandwidth Tor nodes. TorServers.net, founded in 2010 by Moritz Bartel, has also been instrumental in running powerful relays and exit nodes, ensuring Tor remains decentralized and resistant to attacks. Groups like RiseUp and Access Now have expanded Tor bridge networks, helping users in restrictive countries like China and Russia connect to the open internet. Public libraries have also become strong allies in defending digital rights and anonymity. In 2015, the Tor Project partnered with the Library Freedom Project to introduce Tor relays in public libraries, starting with Kilton Public Library in New Hampshire. The initiative's goal was to reinforce libraries' role as defenders of free access to information. However, after pressure from the Department of Homeland Security and local law enforcement, Kilton temporarily suspended its relay, fearing potential misuse. The public's response was swift, defending the library's decision to support Tor. In a landmark victory, the Kilton Library Board of Trustees unanimously reinstated the relay, emphasizing that privacy is a right, not a crime. Inspired by this case, New Hampshire passed House Bill 1508, explicitly allowing public libraries to run privacy software like Tor. These victories prove that libraries are not just book repositories, they are gateways to knowledge, privacy, and digital freedom. Academic institutions have been central to Tor's development, providing both research and infrastructure. Schools like MIT and the University of North Carolina have hosted relays, contributing to network privacy, cryptography, and censorship resistance. In Canada, Western University launched the country's first library-based Tor node. However, legal and political pressures have led some universities to shut down relays due to liability concerns. Despite these challenges, academia remains a driving force behind Tor's evolution, constantly innovating ways to improve its defenses against surveillance and cyber attacks. Efforts to integrate Tor into public infrastructure have taken creative and practical forms. In 2014, artists Trevor Paglen and Jacob Applebaum introduced the Autonomy Cube, an art installation that also functions as a Tor relay and Wi-Fi hotspot. Displayed in museums, it allows visitors to browse the internet anonymously, emphasizing the role of privacy in public spaces. Similar projects like the Onion Pie Pack enable individuals to create portable Wi-Fi access points that route traffic through Tor, providing anonymous browsing in cafes, libraries, and other public areas. These initiatives often face legal and logistical challenges that slow Tor's adoption with concerns over liability and regulation, especially for private companies. For example, even strong privacy advocates like Mozilla, Proton, and DuckDuckGo, who are huge supporters of anonymity, rarely host Tor nodes, especially exit nodes. Exit nodes are the final step before Tor traffic reaches the open internet, meaning that if an exit node is compromised, the operator can see unencrypted traffic. Because of this, operators risk legal scrutiny if their node is used for illicit activity, even though they have no control over the data passing through it. Despite the challenges, private companies boost Tor's game. In 2013, DuckDuckGo became the default search engine for the Tor browser. In 2014, Facebook and Twitter launched their own .onion site, ensuring secure access for users in censored regions.
Well, now Twitter has announced a new privacy-protected version of its platform in an attempt to try and bypass Russian surveillance.
As more privacy-focused companies step up to support Tor, they significantly strengthen the network, improving speed and security. Volunteers, developers, and organizations worldwide contribute to its infrastructure, ensuring it cannot be easily destroyed. Tor's enduring resilience comes from facing fierce attacks, overcoming tough challenges, enduring strict testing, and adopting continuous improvements. Unlike closed-source systems, Tor operates in the open, inviting scrutiny, encouraging research, and rapidly adapting to new threats. This transparency, combined with its global community of developers, has made Tor one of the most robust privacy tools ever created.
Transparency is important for building communities. And of course, every time I say that, there's somebody who says, oh, ha, the anonymity people are talking about transparency, ha, ha. The point is, privacy is about choice, and we choose to be transparent in order to have you understand what the Tor community is and be part of the Tor community, and that's how we build trust.
Tor's security depends on continuous upgrades and rapid responses to threats. The core development team leads this effort, monitoring the network, patching vulnerabilities, and improving performance. In 2014, an attack known as the Relay Early Traffic Confirmation Attack attempted to track users by inserting malicious nodes into the network. Tor developers swiftly removed the compromised nodes, patched the software, and immediately warned users of potential risks. This openness encourages rapid fixes while keeping users safe. To systematically track and resolve vulnerabilities, Tor maintains Trove, the Tor registry of vulnerabilities and exposures, a public database where each known security flaw is assigned a unique ID and priority level. This system ensures that every issue is logged, analyzed, and addressed transparently. Any developer, researcher, or security expert can report, track, and fix vulnerabilities, making Tor's security a collaborative effort rather than being controlled by a single entity. Beyond its core developers, Tor is strengthened by a global network of ethical hackers and security researchers. Its bug bounty program on HackerOne invites experts to find vulnerabilities before adversaries do. Even intelligence agencies, including the NSA and GCHQ, have anonymously submitted bug reports, reinforcing the idea that even government insiders recognize the importance of strong privacy protections. Working together, the Bug Smash Fund provides dedicated resources to quickly fix security issues and improve censorship resistance. Tor's security also benefits from external audits conducted by cybersecurity firms that rely on Tor. One example is the 2020 security audit by Cure53, a cybersecurity firm specializing in penetration testing. The firm conducted an independent assessment of the Tor browser and the Snowflake proxy system, identifying security risks before they could be exploited. The Tor Project then worked with Cure53 to patch these vulnerabilities before publicly disclosing them. This case highlights how responsible security audits strengthen Tor's defenses while protecting users from potential threats. As mentioned earlier, one of the biggest challenges in keeping Tor secure is the risk associated with exit nodes. While most of these nodes are managed by trusted volunteers, some have been exploited by bad actors or unfairly targeted by authorities. Since the Tor project doesn't control who operates exit nodes, this issue remains a constant concern. In July 2014, Tor uncovered a critical security breach, an illegal attack by Carnegie Mellon University's Software Engineering Institute, funded by the FBI for over $1 million. The researchers ran malicious nodes to de-anonymize users, bypassing legal oversight and violating privacy rights. Tor responded by removing compromised nodes, patching vulnerabilities, and reaffirming its commitment to security. But the threats aren't always technical. Law enforcement sometimes misunderstands and wrongfully criminalizes those who run Tor relays. In 2018, German police raided the homes of TorServers.net board members, mistakenly tying their exit nodes to illegal activity. The courts later ruled the raid illegal, confirming that operating a Tor exit node doesn't make you liable for others' actions, just like how internet providers aren't held accountable either. What makes Tor truly unstoppable is not just its technology, but its community. This makes for a movement to refuse to accept a world where surveillance is the norm. By 2013, the global perception of digital privacy changed forever. Edward Snowden, a former NSA contractor, leaked classified documents revealing that intelligence agencies and corporations have been secretly collecting data from billions of people, tracking their communications and online activities.
First, The Guardian revealed the National Security Agency is collecting telephone records of millions of Verizon customers. Then, The Guardian revealed the existence of a top-secret program codenamed PRISM, where the NSA obtained access to the central servers of 9 major internet companies, including Google, Microsoft, Apple, Yahoo, and Facebook. Then on Friday, The Guardian exposed how President Obama had ordered his senior national security and intelligence officials to draw up a list of potential overseas targets for U.S. cyber attacks.
Knowing the risks of exposing this truth, Snowden relied on Tor as his first and last line of defense. For years, the Tor Project had operated as a nonprofit dedicated to online privacy and anonymity. But almost overnight, after the revelations of Edward Snowden, it found itself at the center of a global controversy. Was it a tool for democracy, shielding whistleblowers and activists? Or was it a refuge for criminals? Governments attacked Tor by funding research into de-anonymization, pressuring tech companies to introduce backdoors, and portraying Tor as a gateway to crime.
You can get anything on the internet nowadays. Cars, homes, and now black tar heroin. This is Silk Road, the anonymous marketplace. It's a 4-month-old website boasting thousands of members. On the main page, they proudly and openly sell LSD, marijuana, and ecstasy.
The media sensationalized the term dark web, linking Tor to illicit activities while overlooking its critical role in protecting human rights. Realizing the urgency of defending its mission, the Tor Project took action. In 2014, it launched a public relations campaign, partnering with Thomson Communications to educate journalists and the public about its true purpose. Eva Galperin, the director of cybersecurity at the Electronic Frontier Foundation, captured her frustration of this distorted narrative in Businessweek magazine, saying, "Tor's biggest problem is press. No one hears about that time someone wasn't stalked by their abuser. They hear how somebody got away with downloading child porn. As part of this effort, the Tor Project released educational materials tailored for different audiences, explaining how it protected people online. As the Tor Project's global influence grew, so did scrutiny of its internal governance. In July 2016, Jacob Appelbaum, a high-profile Tor developer, resigned following multiple allegations of sexual misconduct. The controversy raised serious concerns about the organization's internal culture, decision-making, and ability to uphold its own ethical standards. In response, the Tor Project underwent a dramatic leadership overhaul, replacing its entire board of directors with 6 new members, experts in privacy, security, and human rights. This transition also introduced anti-harassment policies, conflict of interest guidelines, and new procedures for handling internal concerns, reinforcing the organization's commitment to a safer and a more accountable environment. The Tor Project's executive director, Sherry Steele, praised the shift as a bold step forward, marking a renewed focus on transparency, ethical leadership, and inclusivity to ensure the project remained a trusted force for digital freedom. With stronger governance, the Tor Project reaffirmed its dedication to its mission and continued to receive support from dedicated communities and organizations. From 2008 to 2013, the majority of Tor's funding came from the U.S. government, including the State Department, the National Science Foundation, and the Broadcasting Board of Governors. By 2012, 80% of its $2 million annual budget came from these agencies, supporting both intelligence communications and efforts to help people bypass censorship worldwide. With Tor becoming a critical tool for privacy, doubts grew over whether it could remain independent while being backed almost entirely by the U.S. government. Tor responded with greater transparency and a push for diversified funding. By 2015, its budget had grown to $3.3 million, thanks to independent donors and nonprofits. As more organizations began recognizing Tor's value, its reliance on the U.S. government for funding lessened. By 2017, Tor's income had reached $4.2 million, with government funding dropping to 51% as more private donors and companies stepped in. Universities, including MIT, the University of Washington, and the University of Cambridge, contributed through research grants, hosting relays, and funding privacy studies. In 2019, Mozilla donated $500,000, marking a major endorsement from a leading internet security and open-source software company. By 2020, revenues soared to $7.8 million, bolstered by funding from Twitter founder Jack Dorsey's Start Small Foundation and continued support from privacy advocates worldwide. As funding increased, Tor's infrastructure also scaled up. In 2013, the network had around 4 million users, with 14% of traffic coming from the US and the rest from censored regions. In 2014, the number of relays surpassed 5,000, improving speed, resilience, and decentralization. Today, Tor runs on over 7,000 relays, maintained by a global network of volunteers, universities, and privacy organizations. Major supporters like the Electronic Frontier Foundation, Open Technology Fund, Sweden's SIDA, and Craig Newmark Philanthropies provide funding, legal defense, and advocacy. Currently, Tor sees 1.8 to 2.4 million daily users, a sharp decline from May 2024, when numbers ranged from 4.5 to 6 million, peaking at 9 million in February 2024. Tor's funding has evolved, making it stronger and more resilient, but its independence still relies on those who support digital freedom. If you want to help keep Tor independent, you can support it directly through the link in the description below. Beyond funding, Tor's true impact lies in the powerful tools it has built, redefining online privacy and resistance against censorship. The Tor network and the Tor Project aren't the same. The network is a web of relays for anonymous, censorship-resistant communication. The Tor Project is the non-profit behind it, crafting tools to boost digital freedom. Since day one, the Tor Project has built key weapons against surveillance and oppression. Here's a quick look. The Tor browser. In 2008, the Tor browser made onion routing accessible to everyone by removing the need for complex manual configurations. Built on Firefox, it allows users to browse the internet anonymously with just one click. The Tor browser has become the gateway to online freedom for millions, from activists and journalists to ordinary people seeking privacy. Onion services. By 2013, the Tor Project made significant improvements to its Onion services, a clever system for building and browsing websites hidden within the Tor network. Unlike regular sites, these .onion addresses keep their locations secret, making them nearly impossible to track.
What's referred to as an Onion service, which Russian users can access if they download the Tor browser. Now, this browser gives them access to materials on what is known as the dark web, where online users can remain anonymous, either for their own safety or where a website has been blocked by the Russian government. And the main difference essentially is it's not twitter.com, but it is now twitter.onion.
The Open Observatory of Network Interference, or OONI. OONI was created to uncover and track internet censorship worldwide. By running specialized software, volunteers help detect when governments block websites, messaging apps, or news platforms. Since June 2023, OONI has analyzed over 1.4 billion network connections across 241 countries, exposing patterns of digital repression and ensuring that censorship does not go unnoticed. OnionShare. OnionShare became the most secure and anonymous file-sharing tool on the Tor network. Unlike cloud-based services which rely on third-party servers, OnionShare creates a temporary, private .onion site, ensuring that only the intended recipient can access the files. It has been used by whistleblowers, journalists, and privacy-conscious users to transfer sensitive information without surveillance. Orbot. Orbot extends Tor's anonymity to mobile devices. Unlike the Tor browser, which protects only web browsing, Orbot enables any internet-using mobile application, such as messaging, social media, or email clients, to route its connection through Tor. Snowflake. Snowflake helps Tor users to disguise their Tor traffic as everyday web activity, like video calling. This makes it tougher for governments in places like China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia to stop it. Snowflake uses volunteers running proxies in their browsers to connect censored users to the Tor network and the open internet.
So Snowflake extensions in Firefox and Chrome and Brave and so on let you become a Snowflake volunteer just by adding something to your browser. You don't have to apt-get install Tor and then know how to edit a text file and so on.
Proof-of-work defense for Onion services. To shield Onion services from DDoS attacks, where fake traffic floods sites to block real users, the Tor Project launched a proof-of-work system in 2023. This system makes everyone solve a quick computational puzzle to prove that they are human. A small hiccup for legitimate visitors, but a major hurdle for attackers. By raising the cost of large-scale disruptions, Onion services remain online and accessible. The Amnesic Incognito Live System, or Tails. Tails emerged in 2009 as a privacy-focused operating system built to leave no digital trace. Unlike typical operating systems that save data to a hard drive, Tails can run from a USB, DVD, or a computer's RAM, which is wiped automatically every time the computer shuts down. The Tor Project, which funded its early growth, welcomed Tails into its family in September 2024 through an official merger. Today, tens of thousands of users in high-risk areas rely on Tails for secure, anonymous communication. These are just a few of the many tools built by the Tor Project and the global privacy community to protect freedom, security, and privacy online. From a research experiment to a digital privacy giant, the Tor Project has won top awards for boosting internet freedom and human rights, showing its global impact through prestigious tech. In 2011, the Free Software Foundation honored Tor with the Award for Projects of Social Benefit, recognizing its role in protecting anonymity and helping millions bypass censorship. This award highlighted Tor's critical presence in global dissident movements, particularly in Iran and Egypt, where activists relied on it to evade surveillance and communicate safely. By 2012, the Electronic Frontier Foundation Pioneer Award further cemented Tor's influence in digital rights and online privacy. That same year, Foreign Policy magazine named Tor's co-founders, Roger Dingledine, Nick Mathewson, and Paul Siverson, among its top 100 global thinkers. In 2013, Edward Snowden publicly praised Tor as one of the most effective tools against government surveillance, saying, "For me personally, Tor was a life changer, bringing me back to the internet of my childhood by giving me just the slightest taste of freedom from being observed." Even intelligence agencies acknowledged its strength, with classified NSA documents referring to Tor as the king of high secure, low latency internet anonymity. In 2014, Tor received the Test of Time Award from Usenix Security, celebrating its 2004 paper, Tor, the second-generation onion router, which laid the foundation for modern anonymous communication networks. This award reaffirmed Tor's status as one of the most influential innovations in cybersecurity. Tor's recognition extended beyond digital rights organizations. In 2016, Mozilla awarded Tor a Mozilla Open Source Support Grant, helping to improve network performance and infrastructure. This demonstrated how major open source organizations saw Tor as an essential tool for online privacy. By 2021, Tor's impact on cryptography and secure communications was further recognized with the Levchin Prize for Real-World Cryptography, celebrating its foundational work in online privacy and anonymity. Through decades of technological advancement and advocacy, Tor has earned its place as one of the most respected and essential tools for digital freedom, standing as a testament to the power of open-source technology in the fight for privacy. Tor and Bitcoin are two monumental projects which both emerged from the cypherpunk movement, a group of cryptographers, programmers, and activists dedicated to building privacy-focused technology to resist surveillance and centralized control.
There were some stories that came out recently about how the Russian government is asking the Russian banks to check if you've paid for something that looks like a VPN. And if you have, then they call you up and you say, what's going on? Why do you need VPN? What do you have to hide? So the bank is doing the enforcement to try to discourage people. And part of the goal of something like Tor is we don't charge, it's free software, it's open source, it's freely available, so that you don't have to deal with the fact that your bank suddenly turns into the Secret Service on the government's behalf.
To this day, the true identity of Satoshi Nakamoto, the cryptographic mastermind behind Bitcoin, remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries. Many believe Nakamoto used Tor to maintain his anonymity, ensuring that his identity, location, and communications remained untraceable. While Satoshi never explicitly confirmed using Tor, key indicators suggest he took extraordinary measures to avoid detection. Despite over a decade of investigations, no one has been able to pinpoint his IP address, uncover personal metadata, or find any logged geolocation, an extraordinary feat that would be nearly impossible without privacy tools like Tor. Satoshi's anonymity is one of the key reasons Bitcoin is regarded as the ultimate digital property for everyone without discrimination. Beyond just a tool for anonymity, Tor and Bitcoin share a deeper philosophy. Both are built on a distributed network of decentralized nodes. Tor's thousands of volunteer relay nodes enable censorship-resistant browsing, just as Bitcoin's decentralized network of nodes ensures that no single entity can control financial transactions. Approximately 64% of Bitcoin nodes, amounting to roughly 13,800 servers, route their traffic through Tor, shielding users from financial surveillance and making network attacks more difficult. The same privacy principles that protected Satoshi now safeguard millions of Bitcoin users, allowing them to transact freely. Many Bitcoin-focused projects, communities, and organizations actively support Tor, recognizing its critical role in financial freedom. Groups like Wasabi Wallet, OpenSats, and Bitcoin Privacy Initiative contribute to funding, research, and development to ensure both networks remain robust tools for global freedom. Tor isn't just code, it's a blazing shield for online freedom, powering 2.6 million users daily against surveillance and censorship. The Tor Project ignited a worldwide human rights uprising, arming journalists, activists, and the silence to strike back. Silk Road's fall proves that Tor is about liberty, not lawlessness. Thank you for making it to the end of my video. Smash that like, share it loud, subscribe now, and drop a comment to fuel my channel. Click here for the ultimate story of a freedom fighter who sacrificed his life to bring truth to the world. The story of Julian Assange awaits.